Hello everyone! Rocket Wayne here to join you for another adventure as we celebrate 2 years here on the channel. And today, I think we should read Tigger and the Apple Tree. Always remember that if you want to follow along with more amazing stories, be sure to like and subscribe for more adventures. Now I think that Madam Owl will be perfect to come and celebrate 2 years with us. Now that Madam Owl is here, let's jump in. Tigger and the Apple Tree. It was a bright fall morning, the sort of morning Winnie the Pooh liked best. He sat on his doorstep in the warm sunshine and hummed a little tune. Suddenly, Pooh saw Rabbit trotting along the path. Rabbit was carrying a basket. He looked worried and hurried. Pooh stopped his humming. "Good morning, Rabbit," he said. "Why are you in such a hurry? And why are you carrying that basket?" "Good morning, Pooh Bear," said Rabbit. "This is my apple picking basket. The apples on the trees down the path are nice and ripe, and I'm going to pick them. Then I'll make my special applesauce with honey for my young cousins. They are coming to visit today." Pooh thought about applesauce. He was very fond of applesauce, especially applesauce with honey in it. "Let me help you," said Pooh. He hurried along with Rabbit. When he got to the apple tree, Pooh and Rabbit began picking apples. It was very easy to reach the ones on the lower branches. Soon, the two friends had picked almost all of them. That is when Pooh began to wonder and worry. "How many apples do we need?" he asked Rabbit. "A basketful," said Rabbit. "My grandma's recipe starts out, take 1 basket of apples." With that, Rabbit jumped up and picked the last of the ripe apples on the last low branch. "Rabbit, we have a problem," said Pooh. "The basket is mostly empty. We must pick the apples from the high branches if we want to fill the basket," said Pooh. "One of us will have to climb the tree." Just as Pooh said this, Roo came hopping by. He was in time to hear Rabbit say, "Climb the tree? Oh, would you, Pooh? That's very good of you." "Can you climb the big tree, Pooh?" squeaked Roo. "Can you?" Tigger bounced across the meadow then. He was singing about the wonderful things Tigger do. Then he saw Pooh and Rabbit and Roo. He stopped bouncing and he stopped singing. Pooh looked up at the apple tree. "Did I really say I would climb a very high tree?" he asked. "You did, Pooh," cried Roo. "You said that." Roo turned to Tigger. "He said that, Tigger. Pooh is going to climb the tree to the top and pick all the apples." "Climb the tree?" said Tigger. "Why, that's nothing. Watch the way Tiggers get to the top." "You mean you'll climb to the top of the tree, Tigger?" asked Pooh. He looked very happy to hear this. "Oh, I won't climb," said Tigger. "I'll bounce there." "It's what Tiggers do." "Don't listen to him, Pooh," said Rabbit. "You know how Tigger brags. You know how he starts things and doesn't finish them." Pooh heard what Rabbit said, and he did warn Tigger not to forget to pick the apples while he was bouncing. "Don't forget, Tigger. Rabbit says we need apples to make applesauce with honey," Pooh said. "Don't be silly. Tiggers never forget," Tigger said. He bounced a big bounce and picked an apple. Roo cheered and Pooh was even happier. "We're going to be sorry," Pooh Bear warned Rabbit. "Tigger will ruin things somehow. He always does." "Not always," says Pooh. "Besides, someone has to pick the high apples, otherwise you won't have enough apples to make applesauce." All right, said Rabbit. "But you know what a show-off Tigger is. Remember what happened to the bee tree?" "What happened?" asked Roo. "Tigger was trying to get a paw full of honey in one bounce," Rabbit explained. "He got stuck in a tree, and the bees got upset, and then the bees started heading for me." "That just shows that bees are not very smart," said Tigger. He bounced again, and Roo laughed. Kanga came along just then. "Roo dear, not so loud of you. You'll wake Owl." "I'm awake," said a low, grumpy voice. It was Owl. He flew to sit on the fence near the apple tree. He rubbed the sleep from his eyes. Tigger did a backward somersault in the air. "My word," said Owl. "Isn't Tigger remarkable?" "Tiggers are remarkable," laughed Tigger. He bounced on the Owl's front porch and rang Owl's doorbell, even though he knew Owl was not at home. "I knew it," cried Rabbit. "Didn't I tell you? He doesn't care about apples. He just wants to show off." Just then, Piglet came running up the path. "What's all the shouting about?" asked Piglet. "It's about Tiggers," called Tigger. "Look at me." He bounced into the air and did 2 backward somersaults. Eeyore had come along just in time to see Tigger's tricks. "That's wonderful," said Eeyore. "It's that sort of thing that makes you happy." "It would make me happy if Tigger would pick the apples," complained Rabbit. So Tigger bounced again and this time picked an apple with his toes. He dropped an apple into Rabbit's basket. Suddenly Rabbit felt hopeful. Perhaps for once Tigger would finish what he began. Perhaps he would pick all the apples like a sensible animal. But Tigger was not a sensible animal. He could not just pick apples. He had to pick apples without looking. He had to pick apples while he did somersaults. He had to pick apples while he had his back to the tree. Every time he picked an apple, Piglet shouted, "Hooray!" Roo cried, "Higher, Tigger! Bounce higher!" "Be careful, Tigger," said Rabbit. "You'll get hurt. You'll smash the apples, too." "Look, Rabbit, there are only 2 apples left at the top of the tree. If Tigger can pick those, your basket will be full," said Pooh. "What do you mean, if I can pick them?" said Tigger. "I can't miss. I can do it with my eyes shut." "Oh no, Tigger," cried Rabbit. "Not with your eyes shut. Watch what you're doing, Tigger." But Tigger did not listen. He leaped onto the fence and bounced there. He closed his eyes when he bounced. It was a wonderful bounce. Tigger flew up higher and higher. Up and up he flew to the very top of the tree. He landed on a slender, swaying branch that bent under his weight. At first, Tigger did not feel like bending and swaying. He picked the last 2 apples and tossed them down to Pooh. Tigger watched the apples drop. They fell and fell. Suddenly, Tigger saw how high up he was. Suddenly, he felt the branch bending under him. He held tight to the tree and didn't move. "Come down, Tigger," cried Piglet. "The basket is full." Tigger could not come down. He could not let go of that tree. "I didn't know it was that high when I bounced up here," he wailed. "That's what comes from not watching what you're doing," scolded Rabbit. "If you would look before you bounce, you'd see how high things were." "Take your time," said Eeyore. He was trying to help. "Climb down slowly." "I can't," moaned Tigger. "If I climb, I could slip. And if I slip, I might fall. Slipping and falling are not what Tiggers do best." Suddenly, there was a horrid cracking noise. "Oh no," cried Tigger. "It's breaking." "Bounce down, Tigger," cried Pooh. "It's what got you up there." "I can't," cried Tigger. "When I see how far down it is, I get dizzy." "Then shut your eyes so you can't see," said Pooh. The branch cracked again. "Hurry," shouted Pooh. Tigger squeezed and shut his eyes. He counted 1, 2, 3. Then he bounced off the branch. "I can't look," moaned Rabbit. Down Tigger came. Down, down, down. He landed right in Rabbit's basket. He made a wet, splashy sound, but he wasn't hurt in the least. Roo and Piglet cheered. "There," said Pooh. "I knew you could do it." Rabbit opened his eyes. He saw Tigger climb out of the basket. Tigger had bits of apple all over him. "My apples!" cried Rabbit. "You smashed my apples. There aren't any more in the 100-acre wood. My young cousins will be here soon, and I'll have no applesauce with honey for them." Kanga smiled. "No harm done, Rabbit," she said gently. "In fact, Tigger has done half your work for you." "Half my work?" echoed Rabbit. "He squashed all my apples, that's what he's done." "Exactly," said Kanga. "You'd have to do that yourself to make applesauce, wouldn't you?" "Your applesauce will be just fine," said Pooh. "I have extra honey at home. Would you like it? I'll run and get it for you." Rabbit blinked. Then he began to smile. "Why, thank you very much, Pooh Bear," he said. "Thank you, Kanga. And Tigger, thank you, Tigger." Rabbit took the apples home and made his applesauce with honey. Pooh helped. He brought extra honey, and he tasted to make sure that applesauce was just right. When Rabbit's young cousins arrived, he had everything ready for his friends, too. He couldn't have made the applesauce without them. Everyone ate 2 dishes of applesauce with honey. Some ate 3 because it tasted so good. Everyone cheered for Rabbit because he made the applesauce, and everyone cheered for Tigger because he had picked the apples. Tigger pounced a big bounce to show Rabbit's young cousins how he did it. "But from now on," he said, with a great big wink for Rabbit, "I'll keep my eyes open when I bounce." Oh wow, that's a really fun adventure with Winnie the Pooh and all of his friends. What did you think, Madam Owl? I agree. This was a really fun adventure to celebrate 2 years here on the channel. Thank you for joining us. And thank you for joining us here with Wayne Reads. Thank you for celebrating 2 years with us here on YouTube, and we can't wait to join you for the next adventure. Bye-bye!